Welcome to the February the 13th, 2001 taping of It Happened in Grand Prairie. We're celebrating Black History Month and we are so excited. Our history tape number 416 is dedicated to a very special family. And they're on the dais with us today. They have made history in Grand Prairie, Texas, and they continue to make history this very day. We're so honored to have with us, first of all, Rhonda. We're going to pass you up and introduce, first of all, your wonderful husband, Mr. Lee Alcorn. Mr. Lee Alcorn, welcome to the set, young man.
Thank you, Ruth. It's good to be here.
Yes.
Good to be here.
And protocol would always have us to do the head of the house, wouldn't it? All right.
I agree with that.
He agrees with that. And Rhonda Alcorn, thank you for bringing your family today.
Thanks for having us, Ruthie.
And we're so excited. Jillian is here with us today. Jillian, how exciting that you have come with your parents.
Thank you. I'm enjoyed to be here.
Good. All right. We have a lot of things to be talking about today, and with your permission, Rhonda, we're going to Mr. Lee Alcorn and begin with him. Okay. That's good. Mr. Lee Alcorn, would you look out into your camera? We would like for you to do a little mini genealogy on your parents, the name of your mother and her maiden name included in that little report, and any siblings.
Okay, my father's name was Jeff Alcorn. My mother's Earlene Benford Alcorn. Mm-hmm. I have 3 siblings, 3 sisters, no brothers. The oldest sister is Johnny Ruth, Cecil, and the youngest is deceased.
All right. And your dad did what for a living in the family?
My dad was a common laborer for many years, and then he became a painter, private contractor during his latter years. So he was self-employed as a painter.
All right. And Lee, where were you born?
I was born in Central Texas, a little town named Ledbetter, Texas.
Do you have the county?
It's in Lee County.
In Lee County, okay. That's wonderful. And when you were born there, were you raised as a young child in Lee County?
No, as a young child, my parents were living on a plantation in what's called the Brazos Bottom.
Oh, yes.
The Brazos River.
Beautiful.
But anyway, that's where they started out with us, the 3 of us.
And where did you begin school?
I began school in Rockdale.
In Rockdale, Texas?
Rockdale, Texas.
Do you remember the name of the elementary school?
Well, we had all-in-one.
All-in-one.
Yeah,
how many grades? 11 grades?
We had 12 grades.
12 grades,
12
okay.
grades.
Okay.
And the high school I graduated from was Aycock High School.
High school.
And it was a totally segregated school.
Alrighty.
And I was an honor student.
The valedictorian.
Well, not quite valedictorian. I could have been, but during that time, my father had left the family early on. Mm-hmm. And so we weren't considered to be the kind of family that had people in their family that would be successful.
I see.
And so because of that, we had a principal who would choose those people who were going to be successful. And he felt that it was really a waste of the valedictorian honor on me, since I didn't really, as far as he was concerned, have
any
kind of future. No. So then there were some points between me and a couple of other people. So I came in second after they made those deductions.
And that's really, you should have made up your mind right then that you were going to be successful and succeed, and you have. And I just think that that maybe was a stumbling block at that time, but it certainly probably has been an asset to you in the long run. All right, after you finished at Aycock High, did you have any favorite teachers or favorite subjects during high school? Someone that was a mentor to you that helped encourage you to do better? There
were a couple of people, but the one that kind of stands out is one I'm still in contact with, and her name was Susie Emma Sampson. And she was my English teacher, and I used to be in the spelling bees, and I remember her teaching me how to write correctly and how to spell words correctly, and she really had, an interest in me.
Mm-hmm. Were you in sports?
I played sports, and I played football and basketball. And as a matter of fact, the year that I graduated from high school, we won both the state in football and basketball.
My. And what position did you play on the football team?
On the football team, I was the end.
Okay.
And on the
Basketball
team, I was, believe it or not, the shortest on the basketball team.
Well,
And we had one of my classmates went on to play professional football, and one went on to play professional basketball. And so we really went along. And one thing I didn't tell you, and that is that when I graduated from high school at 18, I left Rockdale hitchhiking with no idea where I was going and what was going to happen. Me and two friends of mine, since we lived in, our entire world was about a 50-mile radius of where we lived.
Yes.
We had never been anywhere, but there was something in us that drove us to leave Rockdale. And as a matter of fact, we were going to go into the military under the buddy system. And I was the only one out of the three that passed the test after we hitchhiked to Dallas.
and you came to Dallas, and from Dallas, then you took your exam, and what happened then?
Then I went into the United States Air Force. And I was in the Air Force for 4 years. I went to teletype school, I went to cryptography school, and when I left the military, I was a cryptographer, a person who encodes and decodes top secret messages.
That was a very exciting. Where did you do your basic training?
I did some of it in Warren Air Force Base in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Wow.
And the other one was in Belleville, Illinois.
All right. So then you got to travel after that hitchhiking trip, and you got into the service. They really
That's
sent
right.
you around the
I got to fly on an
United
airplane
States.
and everything.
Yes.
Hadn't even ridden in a car that much before then.
All right.
But,
Now, I'm going to leave you right there. I'm going to leave you in the Air Force with your 4 years there and coming out with a trade, so to speak. And I'm going to get with Rhonda for just a minute. I've got to kind of bring her along just a little bit.
She's itching to get in there.
Yes. All right, Rhonda. Look out into your camera and tell us a little bit about your genealogy.
Well, I was raised in San Antonio, Texas, home of the Alamo, and went to school there, of course.
Your parents?
My parents, Jesse and Juanita Menifee. My father, Jesse, is passed. Will be next month, 5 years.
Yes.
Next month.
All right.
And my mom, of course, is still living in San Antonio, and I have two siblings, a younger and an older brother. I'm the only girl.
And name the brothers, please.
Edmund Bud, who we call Bud Menifee, and Kevin Menifee.
And they're all in San Antonio
They're all
with
in
your
San
mom?
Antonio.
Yes.
My youngest brother is retired from the military and just recently gotten married, and so he has settled there. And then I have an older brother who is there, and he kind of roommates with my mom.
Good.
So-
That's good. That's good. She needs a
She needs someone-
supervisor, doesn't
Right, exactly.
she? All right. And when you were born in San Antonio, did you go to school in San
I
Antonio?
did. I
Tell
went
me
to
your
school.
elementary.
I went to CUNY Elementary School. At that time, I believe now CUNY is a church. It's no
Yes.
longer
It's no
elementary
longer
school.
there. Okay.
And I went to middle school was Frederick Douglass Middle School, junior high school at that time.
All right. Now, tell me about your elementary school. Were there a favorite teacher or someone that really made you feel comfortable going to school?
Well, there was, but there was a teacher in junior high school that I
All
could
right.
relate to even
Okay.
more, and her name was Mrs. Sappinter, who, of course, is no longer living. She passed away some years ago from carbon monoxide poisoning. So, but she was someone who inspired me. I guess she was the English teacher, my English teacher. And along with that, she was the coach, the junior high school coach. And so we just kind of, most of us who were active in sports,
Really
such
looked
as
up to
myself,
her,
yeah, I
didn't you?
really looked up to her. And we were, of course, lucky to be able to take classes from her, and she kind of watched over us as if we were her daughters. She didn't have any kids.
Wonderful.
She didn't have any girls. She had a son, but she didn't have any girls, and so there were two others that she kind of, you know,
She pampered y'all,
the
didn't
collar,
she?
yeah, and make sure we walked the straight line. And so I guess that would have been my favorite teacher.
And on to high school where?
I went to Phyllis Wheatley High School.
And that's in San Antonio?
And that's in San Antonio as well, yes. And I attend St. Philip's College there in San
That's
Antonio.
high school. We can't miss your favorite teacher or subject.
Well, my high school years was fun. The first 2 years, doing, I guess, integration, I had to leave my favorite high school, which was Phyllis Wheatley High
Yes.
School, and attend Breckenridge High School, which is where I graduated from.
Yes,
And that senior year it just put a damper on my senior year because I had lost
Split it,
all of my friends, and
yes.
everyone went different directions, and so you had to meet new friends. And so I wasn't as active in my senior year. I just wanted to get out of there and get on
Yes.
with my life. But
Did you do any sports?
not in
Breckenridge?
at Breckenridge. I did at Wheatley.
All right.
Yes, I
Did
was
you have
captain
a-
of the drill team at Phyllis Wheatley High School, and I was in what was called the Las Poetas, and in Spanish that is the twirlers.
Yes.
And so I was in that as extracurricular activities.
Favorite
and-
subject as far as,
I would say probably record keeping, bookkeeping, typing, clerical.
clerical?
That was something that I really enjoyed
Who encouraged
doing.
you to go on to higher education?
Well, my family did,
Your family
more or
did.
less. Yeah. My parents kind of
And your junior college was
St. Philip's College.
St. Philip's.
St. Philip's College. And I thought that I wanted to be a nurse at the time, but things kind of didn't go that way, so I ended up still caring for people and doing things as what I do now. I managed to take trainings and further my education through trainings and things of that nature, where I'm now in social work. And so that's what I do
And
now.
what do you do for a
still.
living now?
I am a tobacco education specialist for the city of Dallas.
The city of Dallas. That's wonderful. All right, name your family, your immediate family with you and Lee.
My immediate family, I guess, is Jillian, who's with us today, who is 15, and I'll let her talk more about
We're
herself.
gonna let her talk.
And I have some pictures here.
Let's show and tell
of
those, shall we?
some of the other kids. They've kind of split up here. Let's see, we've got Jennifer. Let's start with the oldest. Jason, Gerald, and Jennifer, Annalise, and of course Jillian on the end here.
Yes.
And there are 5 of us, I guess, 5 of them altogether.
Just the right number.
Yeah,
Just
so we're
the
real
right
proud of
number.
them. Each one of them are very successful right now. Lisa, of course, is in massage therapy school and will be graduating soon.
Okay.
Jennifer is with the Census Bureau. Jennifer and Gerald is in San Diego, California. He doesn't live with us here. He is there, and Jason is a professional truck driver.
Oh, that's
so,
great.
and he lives here in the area in Cedar Hills. Of course, Annalise, I think I said she's in San Antonio is where she lives now.
All right.
So,
Near grandmother.
Yes.
Yes,
She
yes.
kind of helps
She
to
gets
take care.
Pampered by
Grandma,
grandmother. All right, you have
yes, so-
another picture we need to show
I
and
think
tell.
that's all of them together.
All right, maybe we
Except
can
for
clue
few-
in on that
And that's
one.
Jillian when she was just a little toddler.
Baby doll.
Yeah, that was at one of our NAACP banquets, I believe.
That is very good.
And we were lucky to have gotten some of them all together.
All right. Let's talk with Jillian a minute before I go back to Mr. Lee Alcorn. Jillian, would you look out into your camera, tell us where you go to school, how exciting it is, and maybe your favorite subject or two?
Okay, I attend South Grand Prairie High School. I'm a sophomore. I'm in student council, and I'm also an honors student. I'm in the Black Student Organization. Next year, I plan to be in more organizations, and I plan to, of course, graduate and go to college. And right now, I believe my favorite subject would be chemistry. I like working with chemicals and just learning different things about chemistry, things of that nature.
Have you set on a career choice yet, Jillian?
Yes, really right now I want to be a neonatal nurse, works with babies when they're first born in the nursery, or a model.
Or a model.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and you have the stature for being a model, and that pays good bucks, doesn't it?
Right.
But the other does so much for humanity, doesn't it?
Right.
Okay, that is just wonderful. And if we have time, we're going to get back with you in a few minutes. But now, Mr. Lee Alcorn, how did you meet this beautiful young lady?
Well, as a matter of fact, there was a social gathering in Dallas. And we were just wandering around looking for each other, I guess.
Yes.
And it was kind of like love at first sight. And it was...
And you persisted.
Yeah, I persisted. And she wanted me so bad
There
until we
you are.
finally got married.
That's it. That is it.
But
And tell me when you moved to Grand Prairie, Texas. I think the people in Grand Prairie would like to know how long you've been here, young man.
I've been here in Grand Prairie since 1971. I moved in
1970.
71. I had my house built. I picked a lot out there in the Mesquite Prairie. And I've been here since 1971. I had come from Galveston to Fort Worth, really, and
All
was
right.
living in Fort Worth and working in Dallas. I didn't want to live in Fort Worth nor Dallas, so I picked a point that was midway between. And that's really how.
Why did you pick Grand Prairie, Texas?
Well, I think it was the name, it was the location, and the place where I picked. I had some young children,
Yes.
and I wanted them to be able to run around and play in the streets.
Yes.
And we wouldn't have to hear a lot of noise at night. And so it was just a nice bedroom community.
And that was before the country club area built out. You were sort of out in the agricultural part.
That's right. It was just mesquite trees out there at that time.
Yes.
In the country club. And so it was just, it's really been exciting to see what has happened in that area, because when I first moved there, it was like away from everything. And now everything is down there. Of course, as you know, it's just really over 30 years. It's just no comparison to what it was.
And you were driving to Dallas, but tell us about your career at the hospital on southeast Dallas.
Well, I went to the University of Texas Medical School when I got out of the military.
Yes.
Needless to say, I couldn't get a job as a cryptographer, nor could I get a job as a teletype operator, because it was almost impossible for black people
Yes.
to get those kinds of jobs. So I had to retrain myself, re-educate myself. After about 7 months of doing all kinds of common labor jobs, I realized that I needed to retool
Yes.
myself. And so I went to University of Texas Medical School of Radiology Technology.
Yes.
And graduated from there, and then I moved to Fort Worth. I worked at John Peter Smith Hospital in Fort Worth for about 3 years in the emergency room.
Okay.
And then I went to Dallas, and I was the first black radiology technologist at the Veterans Medical Center.
Mm-hmm.
And I retired there in _95, 30 years.
1995, and you held that job for 30 years.
That's right. I was the radiology manager when I left, and when I began, I was the first and only black radiology technologist. That was in '68.
Was that an exciting career? Was that something different than you had ever thought of when you were a young man, that you would ever be a radiologist?
No, I didn't ever have any visions of that, because when I was in high school, nobody ever talked to me about being anything.
Yeah, I see. No one
And
talks
so
about a career
I
path.
had no idea where I was going or what I was going to do. It's just something that came about. I took some aptitude tests, and these tests showed that I had a knack for helping people.
Yes.
And so I chose radiology technology because it was a profession that paid well, and you seldom get laid off. Didn't have to work hard. I had spent many years in the fields. I
Yes.
didn't want any more parts of the
No
fields.
more of that farming.
No more cotton picking, no more corn shucking, none of that business.
Been
so
there.
all these things went into my choice
Yes.
for a career, and it was a good career. I enjoyed that. I was very successful at it, but I don't miss it.
Did your family end up being very proud of Lee Alcorn for choosing a career and making your own way and making your choices, and then having a job for 30 long years?
They sure did. They really did appreciate, what I had done with so little. But yeah, I've been an inspiration for the family, and that was, that's been good.
Now, after you left the hospital, after 30 long years, were you at loose ends for a while?
No. As a matter of fact, it was a real, I didn't hardly miss a beat.
All right.
Because I had, in 1985, I founded the Grand Prairie NAACP.
Yes.
Had been NAACP president until I went to Dallas. Mm-hmm. And then I ran for the presidency of the Dallas branch and won that election.
Yes.
And that's the only elections I won has been in the NAACP because you won't let me win any elections here in Grand Prairie.
Isn't he bad?
Terrible.
But anyway, I won those elections, going away 3 consecutive terms.
Yes.
As the president of the Dallas NAACP, and went on to serve at, we got the #1 NAACP branch award when I was
Yes,
president
you
here
did.
in Grand Prairie.
Yes.
And I went to Dallas, and we got the #1 branch award in 1998 with the Dallas branch. Mm-hmm. And that's for branches with more than 1,000 members without paid staff, some 2,200 branches.
2,200.
That's correct.
Oh, that is wonderful.
And so I felt that I've really,
You've made a mark.
accomplished as much as I could with the NAACP, and founded my own organization in 1998, really.
Okay.
1 year before I left the NAACP, because I anticipated that I would have to, at some point,
Yes.
sever my ties, because I didn't feel that the NAACP were still sticking to their mission.
Yes.
And so we began to have some problems.
All right, and your new organization is?
The Coalition for the Advancement of Civil Rights.
Okay. And are you still the president?
I'm still the president and CEO.
All right. Okay. And are you doing pretty good with it? Tell us.
We're doing great
A
with it. As a
success
matter
story.
of fact, we have about 100 members in about 6 or 7 months. We have been working in Forest Hill for the last 4 months. And as a matter of fact, just a few days ago, there was a formal memorandum of understanding that we signed with the United States Justice Department, Community Relations, where the complaint over there had to do with racial profiling.
Yes.
They had given out some 3,000 tickets in about 2 months, and the people over there were just really frustrated with trying to bring some accountability to the school. I mean, to the city, the police department, and the city officials. And so we had a series of protests and other kinds of things. And as a result of our protests and our involvement in what was going on with the rampant police department, we were able to get 40 of those FBI complaints are being investigated by the FBI. We got the U.S. Justice Department to provide civil rights training and cultural sensitivity, and we established a police review committee. So then with all those things in place, we were able to leave there last week. And we're moving on to Dallas now to begin a couple of public hearings that I've scheduled already dealing with racial profiling, where we'll take public testimony to encourage the police chief who feels that that's not a real issue in Dallas. And so we're just going to ask the people to come and let's see.
And this is very rewarding to you. Tell me why.
Well, it's rewarding because as I recall when I was a kid, and there are so many people who can't really speak up for themselves and don't
Yes.
know how to get anything out
To work
of
the
the
system.
government, to work the system, so
That's
to
it.
speak. And so I enjoy being able to speak for people who can't speak for themselves, people who can't do for themselves.
Okay.
And that's been my mission in life, pretty much.
You've done several wonderful things for the city of Grand Prairie, Texas. You want to talk about that? Beginning when you first were involved in anything in the city, you were appointed, I know, to the city council at one time because I was on the council when that appointment was made.
Right. And I was so happy. I said, well, I can't get elected, but I can get appointed. That was Mayor DeBoe.
Yes.
Who appointed me to that. But from a larger perspective, I was talking earlier about Grand Prairie bedroom community.
Yes.
And I had been here just really enjoying this, and I had begun to look around at what was going on in the city and the lack of diversity. And that was when I joined the first Leadership Grand Prairie
Yes.
class. And before I graduated from that class, I was running for city council. And so as a result of that effort, I thought that we needed to have a NAACP organization.
And you were instrumental in stimulating the single-member district things happening in Grand Prairie,
That's
Texas.
right. We had several campaigns. We had one campaign that was thrown out where we spent over a year collecting signatures. We came back and were eventually able to change an at-large system to single-member voting districts through our efforts collecting the necessary signatures and being a part of that committee that really fashioned the single-member districts that we have now.
We have 2 minutes left on this interview. It doesn't seem like it's gone like that. Rhonda said we'll never use 30 minutes. I want you to talk a little bit about your tenure on the Parks Board now.
Yeah, I was appointed to the Park Board by Councilwoman Terry Jackson. And I'm entering my second year, but it's been real rewarding. You know, we got the sales tax for the parks that's passed, so we're a very busy committee now trying to see where those dollars are going. But I think it's an excellent investment, and it's an investment that will continue to fuel the finances needed for us to have a first-rate park service here in Grand Prairie, and I think we have a lot of exciting things on the agenda for the Parks Department.
And are you taking care of your real charge for the black community, that you want to be sure that they are heard and that they are seen for? Do you feel comfortable with that now?
I feel very, very comfortable with that. We look out for over in the Dalworth community.
Yes.
And that's always on the agenda. We also are talking about the minority participation with the contracts and where the money is going, because we vote. And so if we vote the way we do, and a lot of times we have the edge, so then when the contracts start going out, then we want to make sure that we are able to do that. Now I must commend the Mayor of England with the racetrack, the efforts that we put forth with that racetrack. That's been very successful. There are some other major ventures that are going on out at the racetrack that Parks Department will be controlling.
Next stage and the skate park.
That's right. And so we are looking at that, and minority participation is going to be what we think it should be. And so I'm always looking out for that, and they always know that I'm going to have that interest.
Black History Month is well celebrated with you and your family here, Lee Alcorn. It's wonderful. And Rhonda, we're sorry that he just had to have all that time, and you don't care, do you?
He has a lot to say.
He has a lot to say. He stands for a lot. And I want to thank you all for being here. It's just wonderful that you would share this with us. And this is Ruthie Jackson reminding you that history is as we live.